lifestyle. Giles Brown.
Human design. When people say design to me, I'm thinking interior design, architectural design. I was sort of somewhat unaware of human design. However, my next guest is going to put me on the right path of where I'm going wrong. This could take some time, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by the woman who knows all about my human design, why nothing changes. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, I'm delighted to welcome Nicoline Huiziknga onto the program. Good morning to you, or good afternoon to you, sorry.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Giles. Really nice to talk to you.
Good to have you with us as well. Are you in Holland at the moment?
Yes, I am. Yes, at the moment.
At the moment, okay. Well, looking at your rather splendid website, by the way, it leapt out at me talking about human design, and I thought, okay, human design. Do I have to change the clothes I wear? Am I in the wrong space? Is my feng shui? Or is it, it's not a question of where I put my throw cushions, is it, Nicole? What are we talking about here, please? Give me the 101.
So human design is an incredible personality tool. And many people know this from, assessments and, questionnaires and quizzes. But human design is based on, a big part of it is astrology. So it's based on your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. And based on that, you get a profile that's incredibly rich and layered. And it basically shows you how you're wired, how you take decisions, and how you can, I would say, navigate life the most easy way. And and I think it's a very enriching tool. And, I've been in the coaching industry for over 30 years. Yeah. And so I've done a lot of assessments and all of that. But I think human design is one of the best and spot-on tools that we can have as a guide through life and through business.
Here's the thing, because you must get this quite a lot, because I'm in my late 50s, but a lot of us come to around about the age of late 40s, early 50s, and they start to feel a dissatisfaction and an unease, if you like, with how their lives. They've done the career thing, they've maybe got some experience in leading companies, managing businesses or whatever, and something doesn't feel quite right, and and maybe they've had the kids, and the kids are going off to university, and there are a couple of changes in their personal circumstances, and there's a dissatisfaction. And you describe yourself as I've never come across this before, soul-led entrepreneur. Now, this doesn't mean you're into Motown, although you may be. You might like your soul.
I am.
Therefore, thank you very much. That's all we need to know. But seriously, because people say, to be in business, you need to literally sort of eat your children and cut off your contacts and be ruthless. And we're all talk about that. So on one hand, other people are saying follow your dreams, but you have to make sure that your dreams are reliable, because not everybody wants a mosaic of a butterfly. So you have to temper realism with dreams. So what is a soul-led entrepreneur, please?
So I love the question. What it is for me is, of course, running my own business, because that's what I've been doing. Actually, today is my 16th anniversary.
Congratulations.
As an entrepreneur. Thank you. So running a business basically means we're trying to make a living for ourselves as a solopreneur. But for a soulpreneur, it means that I want to make an impact in the world, and not just by making a lot of money, because that's for me. But I want to make an impact in other people's lives, and I want to help them navigate life better. And that's why I lead with my soul, and that's why I love human design so much. It's that I can give people the best gift ever, which is you're great the way you are, you're perfect the way you are, and everything you've tried so far and that leads up to frustration or dissatisfaction is just, between air quotes, conditioning that you can unlearn, and then you can be more of yourself. And that's what human design does, and that's why it combines so well. And I like to consider myself to be a hybrid between, a spiritual person and a business person. I love making things practical. And and that's what soulpreneur means to me.
Okay, it's really interesting because we speak to entrepreneurs, or we meet entrepreneurs all the time, and we interview them a lot on the shows. And if you get in there and you go, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur because I want to make a lot of money, then unless you are sort of dealing with, I don't know, the currency markets, and that's, if you're trading from home or something, then if you get into a business because you just want to make money, then that is not going to happen in 9 times out of 10, because you're, I know there's a saying, fake it till you make it, but you can't fake it with an entrepreneur. People will spot if you are not invested. I mean, that's, and also we are all different, and therefore we can take as many sort of online boxes as we want, but perhaps we are, might I dare to suggest, Nicole, we're a little more complicated than a 3-minute survey on a social media page.
Oh yes, absolutely. And this is the thing, what human design highlights really well. It's the underlying pattern that is actually running the show. Because when we say like, oh, I want to make a lot of money, there's nothing wrong with that. But very often when it doesn't happen, there are other, I would say, energetic games at play. And this is what human design highlights really well. Like, this is what's going on, like, beneath the surface. And when you know that about yourself, you can work with it, you can start accepting it and actually fully embracing it. And that's what it did for me when I started with human design, like now 8 years ago. That's the change it made, that it really highlighted those things that were under the surface until that moment I didn't know about. And then it came to the surface and it was like, oh, wait a minute. Because when we think we focus on making money, we're actually not focusing on making money. We're trying to resolve a thought that we actually have, like, oh, I'm a poor person. And when you think that, you will never make a lot of money, because that is actually running the show. And that's where I would say human design comes in, among other topics, that it shows you, like, this is who you really, truly are. And this is how you can navigate that.
So how does it work then? Because if we're looking for a sort of a way to become a more successful, if you've got a business already sort of running, but you don't feel kind of it's ticking all your boxes, is it a case of you would do the human design on the person first, and then after that you would put in some business? Because I'm thinking of those people who are great creatives, who have got passion for something. They're really in tune with what the world is today. They don't want to muck up the environment. They want to do something to express themselves. But perhaps their business sense isn't 100% because, hey, there's always been an accounts department. Or is it do you do the human design to find out who the person is, and then go, oh, and by the way, you're going to have to know how to work out a spreadsheet? I mean, how do we, if I was to come to you, how would it work?
Well, mainly my clients are mainly solopreneurs, so they are the business, and that's where it starts. It starts with the individual. So knowing their human design and really understanding how they are wired as a person, because that's what they bring to the business. And for instance, what I see a lot, many entrepreneurs are following a blueprint of, oh, I need to do this, and that to become successful. But very often, and I would say 90%, people are following a blueprint that wasn't made for them. So they try hard and they work hard, and then they find out, oh, it's not working. I'm failing. And at some point, many people think like, oh, there must be something wrong with me. And this is what human design really helps you with. Like, it shows you there is nothing wrong with you, but you have your own unique blueprint to use in your business. So when I work with people, it's always the person first, the individual first, and then we apply it to the business.
Because if you think about it, into my very small brain, but that kind of makes sense, because the people who we think of as entrepreneurs, the people we hold up and, they appear on the TV, they haven't they followed a blueprint, they've got the basics, but then they have done something a little bit different that suits them. And that's why they seem so at ease, It seems to flow to them. So, if there is somebody who's making millions out of the aforementioned butterfly mosaics or whatever, and I want to become a Bodhisattva, I can try as hard as I like to follow that. But actually, if I want to make mosaics of ladybugs or something like that, then I've got to branch out my own interior. So I can take these ground rules and then, because we are all different. There is no, as I always say, there is no one size fits all. It's a bit like sort of buying an off the peg dress, not that I buy many, or having something made for you by a dressmaker.
Exactly. And this is the thing. We are all born with a unique blueprint, and we spend most of our lives trying to fit into a box that isn't ours. We try to fit into a mold, into a system, into a pattern that other people tell us, like, oh, this is what you should do when you run a business, or this is what you should do in order to become successful. Whereas we have our own unique blueprint, but we always look for it outside of ourselves. And that's where the dissatisfaction and the frustration or the anger comes in, and even the self-doubt, like, am I even cut out to be an entrepreneur? And when you really know and understand your human design, there are always two words that always come forward. The first one is relief, because many people already know this about themselves, but they doubt it and they don't trust it. And second is the word permission, so that once they finally start giving themselves permission to live and run a business from their design, things get so much easier and so much more fun and more in flow. And as a result, it becomes more successful. And it's not the other way around. It's not chasing success and then you feel okay. It's for me, it's always the other way around.
You said at the beginning, congratulations, 16 years of being an entrepreneur. But for you to test this out on yourself must have been quite an interesting concept as well, because you said, I'm not going to do this like everybody else does, and I want to do my values. So were you kind of taking notes as you went through this, experimenting on yourself, basically, before you unleashed it on the business community?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, experimenting, testing, trying, that is, I would say, very dominant in my human design. But my whole life, I thought, like, I don't finish things, I shift, I change, and there must be something wrong. But now I know this is the way I go through life, through testing, trying, experimenting. And so I tried a lot of things in my business, with my community, with followers, with clients. And some of them were really successful and others were less successful. But it was all good because that's the way I move through life. And instead of looking at it as failure, and that's what I learned from my human design, instead of looking at it as failure, I now see it like, oh, great, that's not working. Check and move on. It's like Thomas Edison said, I haven't failed. I just found 100,000 ways that don't work.
Fair enough.
And that's the way I did it.
And again, people talk about success, but if you measure success purely in money terms, hey, I'm based in Marbella. There are you can't move for Lamborghinis and super yachts and the whole thing. But you see these people, and a lot of them are very. You just think, I really, yes, of course, the money would be nice. I'd love to come to be at the Monaco Grand Prix, but they don't look very happy. There's always something. So if we look at success purely on a monetary thing, whoopee. But you can be the most important thing is to be a success on your own terms. You could be driving a van and feel happy and successful more than somebody who's driving a Ferrari. Yeah,
that's it. Because everyone's definition of success is different. And for me, success is not necessarily having a lot of money. Of course, it's helpful if you have it. But I'm really incredibly happy when I get a message from a client that says, you really changed my life. My life is now so different. I love my family. I love myself. And every day is like having fun. Of course, she was a client, so she paid a bill. But that is my satisfaction and my happiness. And that's when I'm like, oh, my goodness. And that's my soul-driven entrepreneurship. I made a difference in a person's life. And that is, for me, is more dominant than the euros. And perhaps that's not very businesslike. Well, so be it.
Yeah, but you're basing your business on the whole thing about being about having the design and also being a solopreneur is not the financial gain. I mean, and because again, you are getting involved in people's lives, their dreams and aspirations. It would be very, and I have come across life coaches, business coaches, gurus, you name it. I've spoken to motivational speakers, etc., etc., etc. And it's a numbers game, and they come in and they fly in and about dazzling teeth and whatever else, and here's my book and here's the thing and here's the steps method, and every gets caught up in the excitement of the crowd because they're speaking. And it's great fun, and you buy the book for like $9.99, and that's and then there's a blueprint, and that's kind of it. And they're never going to get back to you because they've now flown off to Dubai or Australia or something. Of course, you're getting involved. I mean, you really are getting involved with these people, and you're building up relationships. You just have to look at your, the testimonials that you've got. I mean, it's a very, it's a very, very soft approach. But you don't just go there, say, okay, well, here's my bill, see ya. I mean, it seems to be that people are coming back to you as well for new businesses. Explain. I mean, how do you lead people by the hands on this one?
So that's a great question. So, and to come back to your remark about the numbers game, for me, it's never a numbers game. It's always a people's game. It's always about the person. It's about the individual. And what I do is I look at their human design and I take them through it like step by step. And if you look at human design, there are a few guidelines that are really helpful. And I don't know if I had your date of birth correct, but we share the same, more or less the same design on a number of elements, I would say.
All right. Well, mine's the 19th of January, but there you go. So...
Yeah, so that's really interesting to have a look at, because when you look at, for instance, the energy type in human design is I would say the top layer of, okay, who are you? And when you are a generator, and I believe you and I are generators, according to design.
Right.
When you are a generator, you need to respond. But what we learn from business is that you need to initiate. You know, the Nike slogan, just do it. Yeah. We, as entrepreneurs, we get fed this slogan all the time. Just do it, just do it. But the thing is, when you are a generator, and this is just an example, we need to respond. And I tried to initiate a lot. And this is the way I go through life, testing, trying, experimenting. But when I started responding, that's where people started buying. That's where I got more participants. That's where I got people who said, oh, but you do this. Do you also do that? And that's where I really understood, like, wait a minute, I need to respond. I need to show my enthusiasm and my love for human design. And that's where people start responding. And that's when I can respond, if that makes sense. So and this is what you do too. You interview people and then you respond. And that's how you create a great radio show. So it's responding, that's the difference.
You're making me blush down the radio. But again, it's not, the thing that struck me as well is it's serious. What you're doing is serious, but it's also informal, it's approachable. So you have these, obviously there's one-on-one sessions, but there's, and I love this, the kitchen table, because the kitchen table session, because some of my favorite startups like Mulberry, for example, who were the famous fashion brand, Roger Saul started his business on his kitchen, a big oak kitchen table, proper countryside. And there's a lot of people out there who sort of start small, but is this like kitchen table? Are you bringing do you bring other people in? Because you can, as an entrepreneur, you can feel on your own. You can feel like, I can't do this. It's too big. I must be weird. Presumably you kind of say, well, this is Ingrid. She's doing the same sort of thing. This is James. He's, why don't you guys bounce ideas off each other?
Exactly. I always tell people you can't read the label when you're inside the jar.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. I like that.
Thank you. Well, we always need someone else to look at us, and especially when we're solopreneurs, we need other people to see what we don't see anymore, because we have so many blind spots, and we need to see, oh, wait a minute, this is what distinguishes me from the competition, and this is what I could, build on even more. And that's the great thing. And I love the kitchen table sessions, because the people are literally at my kitchen table in the Netherlands, or I bring them to a kitchen table in Spain. But we really sit down and we really go deep on, okay, this is your business and this is what you want. This is why you do it. And these are your talents. And that's all in your human design. And that's how we start weaving the whole thing in. And that's where we create the best plans. And of course, it's never like a magic wand that changes things overnight, but it is a process. It starts a process, and I love watching my clients, getting into like, oh, wait a minute, oh, this works, oh, great, let's do more of that, and then it starts blossoming and growing. And I really, you can't make me any happier than just watching that and guiding that and being a witness to that.
Because I suppose the thing is, a lot of people will go, okay, I've got this idea, I want to set up my store, my shop, and I'm doing whatever, and they'll go to a networking events without any training, and that is, I would say the word would be gladiatorial there, because everybody is pushing, everybody's got a hustle, everybody's got an angle, and there'll be some very smooth talking salespeople there, but you will try and follow that and project this image that isn't what you're about, and that can be very disconcerting with all these people. You see this a lot of business at networking events. Yeah,
the thing is, people feel energy, and that may sound really woo woo and up in the air, but we are as humans, we are sensitive beings. So we sense and we know when something is off. We know when someone is trying to do something that is not natural for him or her. We sense it when someone tries to sell something straight away without really being interested in who you actually are. So we sense it, we know it, and then we start doubting, and then we're like, no, I don't know about you. I don't know about this person. And a confused mind never buys. So what is so crucial for me and for what I do with my clients is that they are in full alignment with who they really are. And you can sell without doing the hard sell. And just the way I sell, I talk about human design a lot. I talk about my business. I talk about my clients. And that's how I attract new people. And that's how I get new clients. Just by doing that and not doing the hard sell. Because word of mouth and reputation are the best. Oh God, yes. The best. The best. The thing, another thing you said a little bit earlier, because these things take time. They do, and we live now. By the wonders of social media, people will think that they can just go online and then in a week they'll be posting pictures of them in the private jet, rolling around in the money. It is the what's the old saying? It takes 10 years to become an overnight situation. You have to be willing to put in the grind, as we call it. Absolutely. And there are so many, I would say, moments of self-doubt and frustration and sadness and loneliness and all of that, but it's like an iceberg. People only see success, but they don't see what happened before that. I mean, I tried a lot of things in my business that didn't work, and I felt frustrated and I felt stupid, and so many moments where I was like, I'm just going to get a job in a supermarket or something. Yeah. But I'm happy I didn't. But it's the moment to power through. That's where you really are an entrepreneur. That when you're like, oh, I'm not going to, surrender to, oh, I'm not cut out to do this. No, I find another way. And that is, I would say, being an entrepreneur, trying and finding another way and really take responsibility for your own feelings and for your own emotions and not being led by them.
You're based in the Netherlands, so if, for example, I'm based in Spain, I mean, do you do international? I mean, you can never kind of replicate the human contact on Zoom, but we do have ways of keeping in contact with people. Or is it always, is that first contact better in person?
It's online and in person, and as you may or may not know, I travel a lot between the Netherlands and Spain. So I meet people in person in the Netherlands and in Spain. But I agree, the in-person contact is so much better than online. Yeah. But online is a great alternative.
Sure. People can get you at any time, which could be a good or a bad thing.
Yes, absolutely.
What's the best bit? I mean, we've talked about the hardest bit, but you must get this. I know that people will say, "Oh, I want to give something back to the community," but this really is. If you're seeing people, who can't work out where they've been going wrong, and you sort of point at them and go, you might want to try that, and then it works. That must be a great feeling. Yes,
it is. It is, and what the big game changer for me was as a generator. And again, it's an example. I need to do what really lights me up, and what I love doing is. I love being on a stage, and not from an ego perspective. And I know at first it was an ego thing, but now it's like I have a message for people.
Yeah.
Like, I want to tell you that you are great the way you are, and you don't have to adjust, and you don't have to work really hard to fit into a mold, but you have your own unique blueprint. And this is what I do. And that was the biggest, I would say, the best part. Like, I do what lights me up. So this week on Thursday, I'm in Berlin, and I'm on a stage in front of 650 people or something. And this is what it lights me up. And I know it by experience now, I always get clients from those things. So I do what lights me up, what I love doing, and it brings in clients, and they pay me money.
Well, not only that, but you're not only a generator, then you're a communicator, and you know the buzz that you get from getting the message across. And if you just help someone, you may have 600 Berliners, but if you get like 2 or 3 going, I want to do that, and you change their lives, what's the problem with that?
Yeah, exactly. When I wrote my first book, I mean, people were like, "Oh, you want it to be a bestseller?" I was like, "No, not necessarily. If I can change one person's life with this book, I can make a little impact in that person's life. My job is done."
I'd say it's done very well. Well, you've done 2 things to me today. One of you've introduced me to the concept of soul-led entrepreneur, okay, who also likes Motown, not a bad thing. But to the whole thing about human design. If people want to find out some more and meet up with you when you're coming to Spain, where should be the first place that they stop?
So I would say go to Instagram, because I live on Instagram. Right. I also live on LinkedIn. But go to these 2 and find my name, my very Dutch last name.
You could have been Van der Huiziknga or something. That would have been even more Dutch, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, that could have been. But this is it's a name from the north of the Netherlands.
Right.
But it's very Dutch, and people outside the Netherlands find it really hard to pronounce. But find me on Instagram, find me on LinkedIn. Send me a message, DM me, and I'm really happy to have a chat. And if you really want to know more about your design, go to my website, download the chart, and let's talk about it from that point onwards.
And the website is Nicoline Huiziknga. Am I? Yeah. Which is Nicoline, like you expect, and then HUIZINGA.com. Well, listen, It's been absolutely brilliant to speak to you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Giles. It was a pleasure.
Nicoline Huiziknga, author, but soul entrepreneur, and all-around great person. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Giles. Have a lovely day.